Yeah, me too. Okay, good evening, everybody. We'll go and get started with the Planning, Development, and Zoning meeting. Sorry, we're a few minutes late here. Had some technology issues. We have a couple public hearings on the agenda for tonight, but we'll start tonight with roll call. Tammy, is all of our new members already been sworn in?
No, so the call to order, which you call the meeting to order at 6:10, and now the swearing in will take place, and then your roll call.
Okay, very good. Is that on you or on Mayor? Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Well, you guys are lucky. You have a good turnout just for your swearing-in ceremonies. That's the only reason they're here. So I would like to invite Christy Kennard, Dolores Martin, and William Richardson. If you can please come join me up here. I'm going to have you come around to the front so that way Brooke can get her photos as well. And while you guys come forward, Dorothy Nguyen and Muhammad Alam, who are not here but were previous serving members of PD&Z, I just want to express my appreciation to them for their service. They both served very diligently over the past few years, or for Dorothy, however long it was, decades. So please come forward, Christy. So we appreciate their service and the mark that they left on Manvel. And for those of you who are being sworn in tonight, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being willing to serve. You know, council and the mayor position is a pretty thankless job, but PD&Z even more so. You guys don't get paid. You guys, you're not recognized in the community. Very rarely do you get thanked for what you do, but you show up each and every day to sit in these seats to make decisions that shape the future of Manvel. And so on behalf of our community, I want to say thank you for that. Thank you for being willing to serve. And I know I can speak on behalf of council when we say we're excited to support you and work with you to move Manvel forward. So what I'm going to do is we're going to all do it at the same time. I'm going to have you raise your right hands. And I'm going to have you repeat after me. There is a portion here where you're going to have to say your name. Don't say my name, say your name, just so we're on the same page. So if you'll repeat after me and say I, then say your name.
I, Christy Kennard,
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of the Planning, Development, and Zoning Commission of the City of Manvel of the State of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States and of this state, and the Charter and ordinances of this city. So help me God. All right, let's get to work. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate that. We'll open with roll call then. See, first up is myself, Ryan Miller. I'm here, hopefully. Position 2, Colin Raskin. He will not be able to join us this evening. Marianne Atkinson.
Here.
Kenneth Haynes.
Here.
And Christy Kennard.
Here.
Dolores Martin.
Here.
And William Richardson.
Here.
Excellent. If I can get everybody to stand for the pledge, please. Thank you, everybody. Okay. So we have two public hearings tonight, so I'll read the first one, and then I believe we have some presentations from staff that we're going to hear those first. Hopefully that will answer some of your questions out there tonight, and then we'll be able to hear comments from y'all. So our first public hearing is going to be to hear input from the public regarding an ordinance of the City of Manvel, Texas, finding and determining that public convenience and necessity no longer requires the continued existence of city right-of-way consisting of 2.713 acre tract of land in the HT and BRR Company Survey, Section 62, Abstract Number 484, Brazoria County, Texas, being a portion of Bissell Road, 50-foot wide, located west of Meridiana Parkway and east of the GCWA Canal, vacating, abandoning, and closing said public right-of-way, authorizing the mayor to execute and the city secretary to attest respectively quitclaim deeds conveying respective interest in said abandoned right-of-ways to the abutting property owners, providing for severability and containing other provisions relating to the subject. Excellent. Do we have a presentation on this one, or is this just a?
Yeah, I can just quickly present on this one.
Okay.
So this is, like you mentioned before, it's sandwiched west of Meridiana Parkway and goes to the canal. Essentially, Meridiana Development is going to use this area for detention. So it's kind of an area that doesn't really need road improvement. They are dedicating a drainage easement and making sure all the utilities are handled in this area. But essentially, it's a road that would go from underneath the Meridiana Bridge to the ditch. It's not going to serve anything based on the current development. Staff recommends approval of this abandonment.
Okay, thank you, sir. And then we'll open the floor to public comments at 6:16. Second call for comments. Yes, sir.
That's not the new one that they're gonna come across the Clark Road on that, across the drainage, across the agricultural canal in that corner?
So it's like right as you begin the bridge, you go over that part of Bissell, and there's some improvement of Bissell on the east side, but it basically go underneath the Meridiana Bridge that crosses over, and then it deads into that ditch. It doesn't really connect to anything, but yeah, that's what we're talking about today.
Yes, sir. If I can get you to step up here to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
All right, first time being here, excuse me. The letter we've received in the mail gave us a map of the rezoning area. From the looks of the map, I am just inside that line. What are we
Is this for
rezoning
the
for?
Bissell Road, or is this for the second hearing?
I think that's for the second hearing. That'll be the next item. We'll do a little presentation on it.
Okay.
To give you an update. So
Yeah.
Okay,
this
that'll
is
work.
just the right-of-way abandonment.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, second call for comments for the first hearing. And final call for comments for the first hearing. Okay, we'll close the public hearing for the first one at 6:18. Okay. Our second public hearing, to hear input from the public regarding a proposed ordinance 2024-0-13 from the City of Manvel, Texas, amending the zoning classification of 1,735 acres of land generally located east of State Highway 288 and south of Highway 6 from planned unit development to planned unit development for the Meridiana planned unit development, providing for the amendment of the city's official zoning map, providing for severability, and providing for a penalty and an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violation for any provision hereof. Okay, this is where we'll do our little presentation to start.
Yes.
Excellent.
And thank you all for being here. That letter that was sent to you all is just to get you to contact us and ask for more information, and perhaps to even come to this meeting. So it worked as intended, and I'll do the presentation and kind of explain what the substantial changes are, as well as I'll explain the map at the end as well. Actually, I'll do the map first. So that map is just to show kind of the location of where this is going on. There is a buffer around that map, and that buffer
And
shows.
I'm sorry, do we have this to be able to put up on the screens, or?
We can just load the map.
She's trying to do that.
Yeah, just the Meridiana basic map would be nice. Sweet. But while that's going on, it just basically is a notification map. If you see that little buffer around the property, that's just the notification area. We notified within 200 feet of the La Meridiana development, or La Meridiana development. So you're not being annexed in this thing. So we'll wait to that map. So let me just start. Essentially, the substantial changes of this amendment are the area that we just talked about on Bissell Road is an area that Meridiana is planning on incorporating into the development. That area is just north, let me get to the map. It's just north of, it's on the northwest corner of Krusner Road and Meridiana Parkway. That is the only area that is being proposed to be added to Meridiana. Nothing else is being added besides for that parcel. It's 72 acres, and it's essentially proposed as drainage, open space, and an area for garden homes.
Is that where the sand pit it was?
Yeah, it's an area that's like sunken currently.
Yeah, that's the sand, well, I guess it was a sand pit.
Yeah, it's proposed for drainage. So that's like the first thing. So any other area is not being added. That's the only thing being added to this development in the proposal. Let me get back. Okay, so that's,
Leave it as a fishing area?
I mean, it's going to be detention and open space. You could, the EHRA team is here. They could explain more. I'm just from the city side, like review the documents and kind of do the summary for it all. But any specific questions, let me get through the summary first, and then we can move forward on the, the public hearing portion. The next thing that is happening, I just mentioned the 72 acres. 30 of those acres are proposed for garden homes, and the rest of that area is detention and open space. Within the development, good, that'll work. Yeah, that's perfect. Within the area, there's nothing on the edges are all going to stay pretty much the same. For the single family, there is an area of 30 acres, kind of in the middle of the development that's going to be, it's proposed as patio homes. And then the last thing, there is an additional, a new commercial tract that's proposed at the southwest corner of Jordan Road and Meridiana Parkway. It's about 2 acres or such. And then lastly, there's more open space areas that are designated in this amendment. They are creating a garden home designation, which is, like I said before, it's that new 72 acres. There's a garden home category, which is a minimum 50-foot lot width and a minimum square footage of the lots at 6,300 square feet. They are doing some signage amendments, and these signage amendments are mostly for like a primary entry monument. So when you enter Meridiana, you see at Highway 6 and Meridiana Parkway, there'll be an entry monument there. They call it a primary entry monument, which is a maximum sign area of 216 square feet. And it's basically like when you're driving into Meridiana, you're just going to see this entrance. Additionally, they're going to do a secondary entry monument. And let me just point out the locations really quick. So we have one at Highway 6 and Meridiana, and then we have one at the entrance on Jordan Road and Meridiana. And those are the primary entry signs. Those will be like the largest entry signs. And then we have secondary entrance signs on kind of like the corners. Sorry, my map is very unclear. Yeah, here it goes. On Pursley Boulevard on kind of the top north portion of the site. And then also a secondary kind of in the village center that just shows you like you're coming into this development. And sorry, this is a lot. I'm doing the best I can. The next part of this is for each like home area, there's like a section monument that shows that you're in like whatever section of the Meridiana Parkway development. It's 32 square feet. It's like normal entry things when you go into a subdivision. And they do add some commercial monument signage. So if there's a commercial space, there's a maximum of 6 foot tall, 13 foot in width, maximum square footage, 45 square feet, signage for commercial tracks, and they have to be separated at least 100 feet from each other. And lastly, there's a temporary builder sign that allows, when a builder's in there in that subdivision, to place a temporary sign and remove it after they're done. The next substantial thing is on Masters Road, there's some residential lots that are planned, and this adds an option on Masters Road to do either like the subdivision like we're doing in Meridiana, or to do 1 acre or larger lots, kind of like more rural lots on that. It's an either or. It just gives the option that the developer, if they choose to do that, they can. The next thing is they're reducing the total residential density from 2.43 dwelling units an acre to 2.329 acres per gross acre. And basically the whole development, the maximum density of everything there will be no greater than 2.329 dwelling units per acre. And if there's any additional land that's added into the development, that density will stay there. The next part is in terms of right-of-way for areas where the lots are less than 70 foot in width, or the majority aren't 70 foot in width, they're allowed to do a 50-foot roadway with 10-foot utility easements on each side. And it allows for utilities to be maintained, the water sewer infrastructure. It's very common and will work with this development. For County Roads 67 and 72, in terms of the requirements, they're just going to provide half of the required dedicated right-of-way for those roads, but no improvements will be conducted. Cruiser Road, in terms of the limitations on this one, the roadway will stop at those garden homes that are planned on those additional 72 acres. The roadway will go to the required entrance to that. They have to have 2 entrances for how many lots they have, but won't continue to the ditch. It'll just stop there. And that makes sense because that ditch is going to need a bridge, and it will serve the emergency access requirements. One of the things is in the village center, which is kind of in the center of this development, there's actually a public safety land use that's designated currently. This proposal is to relocate that from village center and leave that area just village center, which is kind of a commercial district in the development, and move that to the area of just kind of, it's off Jordan Road. If like I think it's Clark Road were to run into Jordan Road, that's where that public safety, which will be either like police station, fire station, maybe an ambulance area. So those are the major changes. Yeah?
Okay, so I live right at the corner of Clark Road and Jordan Road.
Uh-huh.
So you're saying that police station's gonna be right there?
It's not necessarily a police station. I don't think, from my understanding, it's not planned for anything. It's just police, fire, or it's designated as that's what can go there.
Can you clarify where you're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, we can do questions, but we're going to have to do that here just one
Yeah,
second.
let me finish. I'm almost done. Like, I just have these minor changes. So in the original PUD, there was a village center thoroughfare that was in there. They're just removing that and using the normal major thoroughfare, which is 120 feet. It works better. The old village center used to like widen up in the intersections and like decrease in size. We don't have to do that anymore. It's just gonna be 120 all the way through. This thing was originally called Seven Oaks Ranch, and now it's called Mariana, and it's changing the name so we don't have that confusion. When we send you a Seven Oaks Ranch, that's Mariana. We don't have to do that anymore. There's some changes to residential intersection spacing. The flood plain statements have been updated. There's a sidewalk exhibit to make sure we comply with ADA requirements. And then lastly, they are planning on trying to do a appeal process through city council, but staff is recommending to conditionally approve this amendment and item, but to actually appeal to the zoning board of adjustment is where these things would normally go for staff interpretation. If there's a conflict between what the city says and the developer, that would be their appeal process. That's basically all I have in terms of the proposed amendments. So just going back, it's mostly adding those acreage and then doing some changes on the garden home designation, some changes to the land use, some signage amendments to add those entry signages and commercial signage that weren't in the document before, to allow 1 acre or larger lots on Masters Road as regular subdivision development, to reduce the density, to allow 50-foot minimum width with 10-foot easements on each side, to set expectations for County Road 72 and 67, as well as Cruiser Road, and then also the relocation of that public safety site. That's the gist of this amendment.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have a summary online, and we could throw the whole document online as well.
Okay, we'll start with public comments here in just 1 second. Did we have anything else from the developer planned, or no? Okay. Okay, we'll open up to public comments here. I have one comment card to start with for Patrick, is it Cassipi? Is that right? Is that for this hearing? Cassidy, yes, sir. Is that for this hearing? Is that for this public hearing?
Yes.
It is? Okay, come on up. And if you'll just state your name again and address for the record too, please, sir.
Okay, good evening, gentlemen, ladies. Thanks for having me. My name is Patrick Cassidy. I'm a Manvel resident in Meridiana in Serenity. And my questions, and thank you again for what you did for just a moment ago. Two questions. One, they're into our subdivision, which is at Sora and Cumulus. There's a big intersection there. A lot of near accidents, and there's 4 that I know major accidents were there. I was in one of them. So it's a real buzzsaw right there. You're probably all well aware of that. So my question is, what is planned for that corner? The mayor stepped out and the council stepped out with some nice directional signage, intersection ahead signs. I think that's called something, the little strips in the roadway. And I think there was one other thing, I can't think of it right now. However, I guess my question, is this the right area? I would ask that and address that question, is what's planned there for some sort of intersection intervention?
So right this second, this is your opportunity to talk to us and for us to listen, but when we get to the discussion part here in a few minutes, we can answer that question.
Okay.
Just tell me the name of that intersection one more time.
It's Sora, S-O-R-A, and Cumulus. It's not on the map. Sora is not. Cumulus is C-U-M-U-L-U-S.
Okay,
It's
and
just on
spelling
the
bee.
other side of the bridge right there.
Very good.
So,
Okay, so we're just looking for better signage and traffic control. What's the plan for that? That's your question.
I see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. And again, if I can just get your name and address in the microphone there for the record, too.
My name's Tony Bernardi. I'm at 6403 Clark Road. And my question is they're going to put this new bridge in right across the corner there and replace the old bridge, which was a very low load weighted bridge, which was fine by me because the big heavy trucks when they're building this out of this subdivision, run down this street. Now, if they increase the weight loading for the bridge, which they will, are they going to do anything for the road? Because they basically have destroyed the road around in front of my house, and they've also caved the bankings on them. So I'm just curious if they not only build a new bridge so that they can put big trucks over it, but then they're going to have to improve the entire road to take those big trucks.
Okay, we'll answer that question in discussion for sure. Yes, sir.
I just had a quick question. So I live at 6820 Cruiser Road, and I was just wondering.
And if I can get your name too, sir.
It's Ricardo Gonzalez.
Thanks, sir.
What exactly is happening right there? Just needed some.
At what street again?
6820 Cruiser Road.
I'm sure somebody will type furiously over here and find an answer for us when we get to the discussion area, and we will report on that for you.
That's it.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
My name's Dane Fish. I live on Booth Lane, right off of Masters. It's just a single street with about 15 homes on it. I can't tell exactly where it is on this map, but the map that I got in the mail has about 3 or 4 of those houses on Booth included in what I think is the buffer zone, the 200 feet buffer zone. It looks like the actual border is on the other side of the drainage canal that's there. So we're not being annexed, but what does that mean? Is it being in the buffer zone, does that ever mean that somebody can tax me, can do anything? So I just want some clarity around that.
That's just the notification area, is that correct?
notification, no taxing, no annexation, just to show that within 200 feet of this development, you were notified. That's it.
Okay, so no one's ever going to come in and tell me I owe a bunch of taxes and a bunch of stuff, because that was the way it looked on the notice. I mean, it's a bunch
Somebody's
of
always gonna come
legalese,
ask
but I
you
just
for money,
wanted
but it won't be for this.
clarification
Yeah.
around there. So just being in the notification zone is just that. It's
That's
just letting you know they're about to do some stuff, potentially.
To contact us and find out what it's about. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am. Start with you, and then we'll go with yellow shirt there in the back.
My name's Melissa Charba, and I live at 6506 Jordan. I'm in the little triangle that's green. And the Clark Bridge, right, I'm on that peak of the triangle. The bridge will be right by my house now. I'm just very concerned about noise. I know I've been told that there's so many accidents, that's why we have to move the single lane bridge, but I feel like there could have been more signage. But anyways, I'm concerned about the sound. And then also by the maps, I really couldn't tell what's going to be done with Jordan Road itself, like leading up to that bridge. It's my understanding the bridge is going to be a 2-lane, but, and I had also mentioned to TxDOT and I think someone with City of Manvel, and they just said, well, if you have any drainage issues, we'll address those. And I don't want to, I mean, I was like an island at Harvey. And if there's any dirt coming in, I'm very concerned.
Okay.
So I think that's mainly it. But what's happening on Jordan, the traffic, I don't hear real good, but someone may have brought this up, but where Jordan hits Meridiana Parkway, that intersection, the line of sight for you to see that a car is coming is very dangerous. And I mean, it's a flashing stop sign, but the cars coming this way, they're honking at you if you're pulling out. You can't see. So that's mine.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right, my name is Jason Loxton. I live at 9022 Masters. And back to the last gentleman, he said off of Booth Lane, he was just inside that buffer zone. From this map that y'all sent everybody, I am actually inside of Mariana red line there.
Okay.
What is that going to do for us? Because it's out actually on the other side of the buffer zone.
Is this something maybe you can help him address here off to the side for a second?
Yeah, I think I could.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Any additional comments? Yes, ma'am.
Just beside that corner.
My name is Veronica Orihuela, and I live at 6745 Jordan. And just like the lady on Jordan said, I think we live in the most dangerous intersection until the gentleman spoke in Manvel. For some reason, it seems that everybody likes to place signs. Meridiana does not mow their lawn when they're supposed to, or the city doesn't mow the lawn. I drive a sports car. Whenever I get to the middle of the street of Jordan and try to make a left turn, I get run over by everybody. It's the most horrific thing that they ever did by putting 4 lanes into that without a light.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen terrible accidents there. So, I mean, they're annexing, they're growing, they're getting bigger, they're putting a lot more stuff. It looks beautiful, you got a lot of little dots with a lot of little colors and the little pond and everything. But what are they doing to maintain the stuff that they currently don't maintain now? The ditches around that area never get cleaned. I have to call the city every so often. And it's like, come on, you guys. And the city is awesome, right? Y'all put up with my calls and y'all go out there and send somebody. But at the end of the day, they built up one side to the point where every time it rains now, when I get out of my house, I got to wear boots. And in order for me to build a little bit of my property out, I got to come to you and ask for permission. And then the permits lady is like, oh, you got to get a elevation certificate. You got to do a study. You got to do this. But y'all never thought about that 4-foot buildup that you did across the street from me. So Medina has really damaged that whole area a lot instead of bringing a lot of stuff or benefits in. Like I said, beautiful ponds, beautiful everything. When I drive down there, it looks really nice. But it hasn't benefited me or my area in any shape or form. It's made us worse.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any additional comments? Yes, sir.
My name is Sherman Harrell Jr., 9827 Magnolia State Lane, Manvel, Texas. My wife and I just moved here about a year ago. I'm confused. So I get this letter, and it said 200 feet.
Butters.
Butters. Okay, so there's a tract of land that's backside of Magnolia State. My wife and I will walk. There used to be cows and everything, so she knows the cows have moved. So it's outlined on this map here. My thing is, are they getting ready to do something with that land? Is that part of this meeting? Or that's, I'm trying to understand.
So if you were notified, you were probably within 200 feet of whatever is proposed.
Yeah.
I can get with them.
Yeah, if you chat with this gentleman right over here, he can help you pinpoint it. Okay, any other public comments? I see a hand at the back, but that's all I can see. Okay, 2.
Can we get some maps on all this? I think everybody is very confused. I don't want to say this was poorly done. I think that most of us just got a letter that was very confusing, and now we're sitting here even more confused than we were.
Yes,
So
it's
if you can
definitely
tell
all
us-
part of the public record, and it will be posted online, or is already posted online?
Yeah, so we have a summary online with kind of just the basic things I just talked about during the report. And we'll also throw that, the whole document on
Does
the.
it include the flood zone and what
The flood zones are online too with FEMA. but-
where is it online?
We can give you a link afterwards. If you can just reach out to me, we'll take down your name and number, and then
Okay.
email, we'll get that to you. We have a link online, and I'm sorry, it has been a little confusing, and, but we're working on it. We have a summary online.
The question is, when they did the study, and they figured out for the new subdivision what the floodplain was, what the building elevations were and everything, did they ever have to study what the impact was to the
Yeah.
people that are on the 200?
Sir, if I can get you, if you're going to talk, I need you to get you up here at the microphone, please, sir.
Okay. Since I live on Clark Road, I drive down it all the time. And my question on the flooding is, when they did the new flood plan, that was for Meridiana. The question is, for those of us that are on Clark Road, across it in the 200-foot zone, what used to be a field has now been built up 4 or 5 feet. And so obviously, if they had to build them up 4 or 5 feet so they wouldn't flood, what did they do to us, who we survived Harvey, but it wasn't like we had a lot of room to spare. So the question is, did the new flood plan include those of us that will be now trapped by the water? That's a question. So when we see the new flood study, is it going to include us?
So, do you mind if I answer this really quick?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. So these are FEMA floodplain map updates. They're not really, it's FEMA that sends out these maps, and they update them from time to time. And EHRA is here in the audience. They could probably explain this better than I can. But essentially, it's a FEMA requirement, and the flood zones were updated since the original PUD was approved. That's the only.
And and I'll just add, correct me if I'm wrong, that, requirement for all the development is that all the water from their property, they have to contain it and get rid of it in a controlled manner, right?
That's correct.
But our water used to run that direction right across that.
Okay.
And now it's higher than us by.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. The very patient lady in the back. I'm sorry, sir. There's somebody else that's going to come up. No? Okay. She's yielding her time to you right now.
As some of you know, I've lived here 80 years. I'm a fifth generation. And can you tell me?
And if I can get your name.
Farmed 90% of this land in this town.
Can I get your name real quick, sir?
He can't hear you.
If I can get your name and address.
I'm sorry, and I
That's
live on
fine.
Masters.
Thanks, sir.
But y'all raised the property up across the road from us. And I've seen the water coming over that road 3 feet deep. We haven't had any of those 20 or 25-inch rains since. We're not in the flood zone on the other side. We have only one, the Prescott survey, which I know y'all are, some of you are friendly with. There's no, now how can y'all justify, because you can put all the retention ponds you want out there and they're gonna fill up when and all the, I've never flooded because my grandmother was born and raised right there at the same spot I was, and she told me to raise it up to the height of the road. But it's coming. I mean, we have to pay flood insurance because we can't buy but 3 loads of dirt to put in there. But Meridiana can come in and raise the whole Pursley Ranch 4 feet. I mean,
Okay.
of course, I'm very familiar with all this because I ran cattle on this for 15 years, most of Meridiana. But anyway, and did I hear you right a while ago? You said that along Masters from Uzzle down to where Elijah One lives there, that's going to be in 1 acre lots? Is that residential or is that commercial?
It's residential, and it can be either normal subdivisions or 1 acre or greater lots. So
It'll be single dwelling home.
That's correct. Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Sellers, 9110 Pilgrim Circle, Rose Sharon. We are in the little spot that nobody claimed years ago. Now Meridiana is in my backyard as it is in a lot of yours. They're not lying when they say that it's raised up. I mean, I took a yardstick out there when they started building up the property right behind my house where the water does flow south. It doesn't flow south anymore. It stops at the little tiny ditch. It literally, you could drive your car through it. That was supposed to be, by Meridiana standards, something for drainage. It's not there. Also, I'd like to address the drainage that Meridiana has, in better words to say, they haven't done anything, because right there at the curve of Clark 57, Pursley, Iowa Colony Park, whatever the name is, Grand Rapids, there we go. Y'all build a road that goes straight to Clark, and your culverts and everything are raised up. So where's that water where it used to flow into Manvel to those canals and the bigger ditches? They can't. It stops. Where water used to stay when we had a heavy rain, it would stay for a couple days. Now that water stays all the time because of bad planning on the part of whoever put the roads in, whoever put the culverts in, higher than the actual ditch. And also, I don't know about y'all, but me personally, when are y'all gonna repair the roads that y'all tore the crap out of? I mean, honestly, holes bigger than me almost in some areas where you're having to dodge people just to get around it, to drive down the road, to go shopping, come to city council meetings, or even go to work so we could pay for our property taxes.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any other calls for yes, ma'am?
Hi, I'm Danielle Fish, and I live at 7110 Booth Lane. So my question or concern is, does this have any bearing on the meeting tonight where Meridiana and Highway 6 intersect across from the high school. There's a high school over there. That intersection is full of, when you turn and when trucks turn, all these barriers are ridiculous. You can't hardly even turn your truck or your car in that area. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know, what do you call those things? What?
Oh,
It's like whoever designed that road,
the center islands on Highway 6?
they're designed for smart cars.
Yeah, unfortunately,
They're
that's
huge,
a
and
state
our
of
big
Texas.
cars and the big trucks are running right over them. There's no way to turn properly. And that needs to be corrected. And in Meridiana, I mean, that happened when that road came in. I don't know who did it.
That's all state of Texas because that's a state highway, right? Mm.
So how do we address that road?
It's actually on Mariana.
And because
It's Meridiana and 6.
Right.
But it's at Meridiana, it's not at 6.
and Dan or whoever's going to best answer this, because it's tying into Highway 6 right there.
I mean, you can't even be
that whole
going
design
5 miles an
standard-
hour. If you take that turn, you're going to hit.
That whole design standard is from state of Texas, right?
We've got it. So whenever we get to the next part of the agenda, and we'll start addressing all these different items.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just a quick little thing on that too, the lighting at night with that single lane, it's very hard to see.
Thank you. Yes, sir. I had another hand in the back. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Josh Bowman. I'm at 9135 Pilgrim Circle, along with Jennifer. We're county, but my property backs up to Pursley, where those 2 dots are at. It says Esplanade Opening. I guess what would concern me is the right-of-way issue, G. Is that going to affect me because my property line is at the beginning, or, yeah. Meridiana and my property line is that road. So is that going to affect me anyway, right away?
Okay.
Because there was a time when the previous city manager said that they had plans to widen that road of Pursley onto my property because they didn't plan it to go on their side of the property. Is that still going to happen?
We will develop an answer for you, and when we get to the discussion part, we'll address it.
Okay.
Okay.
I apologize. I forgot one other question. There's a $2,000
Yes, ma'am.
penalty or something on that letter that you sent out. What is that in reference to?
That's part of the ordinance that if it's for if they violate it or proceed without approval, correct?
Correct. This is going to make changes to the PUD, the zoning ordinance that governs the rules and zoning rules over Meridiana. And if there's any violation of that, it's actually a violation of the city code. They can get a ticket or charges filed in municipal court up to $2,000 fine.
Okay,
Per day.
So,
for whomever violates it.
correct.
But I wouldn't violate it as a homeowner.
You're not even in the PUD from what I understand? You're actually you are in Meridiana?
No, I'm right on Jordan. Where they
Because-
got the 200, whatever easement thing going.
Because the PUD controls just Meridiana, but people within
that's
200
right.
feet by state law get notified of this hearing, so you might not be subject to these rules, but you still got a notice because you live close by.
Okay. Second call for comments. Third, fifth, 27th. Final call for comments. Okay, we'll close the public hearing at 6:53. Okay, and our third public hearing tonight was canceled. Okay, so we'll move on to the regular agenda. Up first is going to be our consent agenda for tonight, which consists of approve the final plat for Del Bella Lake Section 9 and approve the meeting minutes to date. Does anybody have any objections to everything that's in there? No? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second. And all those in favor?
Aye.
And the motion carries 6-0. Okay. First item up, consideration and possible action to approve preliminary plat for Meridiana Section 6 East.
Good evening.
Evening.
This proposed plat is a new residential section within the Meridiana Master Plan development, and subject site is located within the city of Manvel and part of Brazoria County Mud Utility District number 57. Proposed section includes single-family residential lot with minimum 55-feet lot width. This section includes 50-foot wide right-of-ways, and proposed plat subdivides a 23.67 acre tract into 88 residential lots, 4 blocks, and 4 reserves for landscaping, open space, drainage, and utility purposes. Staff recommends conditional approval, and the condition is provide drainage district approval of a preliminary drainage plan.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So what questions do y'all have for this?
I have a question.
Please ask.
It's very hard to read those maps, I agree. Where exactly is this? Is it, and it's not done yet, or is this part of further down on Meridiana, or?
So this is part of the already kind of preliminary platted section?
Yeah.
So this is not part of the hearing?
No.
Yeah.
But,
Like if you look at page 2 on the report that we received, and then you look at page 3, like if you're looking at, because like page 2 is a really close-up part, but if you're looking at page 3, I think she's asking like where on page 3 of our report, the color map, where exactly is it there is
Yeah.
what she's asking.
Yeah.
No, that's a very good question, because it is very.
Because it's
difficult
it's hard
there.
to see even shape-wise, and you
hard
can't
to
read any of the names.
yeah.
So you want the location?
Like a cross street, like,
Yeah.
a major cross.
On the master
area.
plan, just where is that block on the master plan?
It's located on the west side of the on the east boundary of the Meridiana, and south side of, it says,
East of Meridiana. So is it close, is it towards Masters for the east side, or is this on the other, is this between Highway 6 and Jordan? Because I'm actually looking on my phone, because
Section 6.
you don't have the other page?
yeah, that's what I was,
Where's page 4?
We don't have page 4, we only have page 2.
I only have, yeah,
It's in the report for sure. Okay, that section right there.
okay.
On the report, it's only 3 pages.
Yeah, and you're right, there's have no roads or anything, huh?
It's on
Okay.
page 3 of the report.
Okay, so on this one, which
Yeah.
on that one, where is it?
Can you give me the intersection?
6.
Oh, this one right here, okay. It'd be helpful if we could actually see that.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We're all
Yep.
all good with location? Okay, fabulous. Okay, what other questions do we have?
What part do you work in?
So they're recommending a conditional approval because of drainage plans. Any additional questions, comments? Any motions then?
Make a motion to approve with conditions.
A second.
Second, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0? 5 to something yet?
I'm not, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and all those against? Okay, so 5-1? Okay. Sorry, I couldn't tell if you were just still studying or. Okay. Okay, agenda item B, consideration possible action to approve ordinance number 2023-0-03, which is going to be the abandonment of Bissell Road. Who would like to tell us about this?
I just reiterate, we already did the public hearing on this.
I'm sorry, everybody. I'm going to need quiet for the audience. Sir. Thank you.
So just to reiterate, this is just the portion of Bissell that's west of Mariana Parkway, the bridge, and going westerly to the canal. It's no longer needed. Staff recommends that we approve this recommendation for abandonment.
Okay. What questions does everybody have? Any? Any conditions?
I can repeat that really quick from the audience.
Yes, sir.
This is just a recommendation. Staff recommends approval of this to abandon the right-of-way of Bissell west of Mariana Parkway, the bridge. West of the bridge, going westerly toward the canal. It's not needed, so therefore we recommend approval.
Okay. Any motions?
I'll make a motion to approve with conditions.
And all those in.
There is no conditions.
No conditions,
I'm
sir.
sorry.
And we have a second, and all those in favor? And the motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Okay. So here is the meat and potatoes. Consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 2024-0-13, which is about the Meridiana PUD. I know the developer is here this evening. Good evening. If you want to give us your rundown, we'd love to hear it.
Happy to do so. I'm
There's
here for
no questions. I know what you're talking about.
Good evening. My name is Brad Schweitzer with EHRA Engineering, the land planner for the project. First of all, I want to thank you, Mayor Martin, for your hard work in originally crafting this development and the PUD and the guidelines that you worked hard with the former city council and the developer with. I've heard your name mentioned a lot of times. I've worked on this project a lot, so.
It's a very beautiful development.
Oh, yes, the developer has done a great job on it, and so applaud your work on that. And also, this is the first time we've updated the PUD in 15 years, and so I would say for 15 years of development, this is actually a pretty small list of changes. There's been a lot of stuff that have gone on in the development industry over 15 years, and I think this is pretty small in the grand scale of things. So overall, Evan, Ellie, they did a great job highlighting a lot of the changes. There's a lot. Just a couple of things, and I'll reiterate the biggest changes here and then answer some of the questions, and then I know Dan can answer a lot of these questions as well. But so the biggest thing is we're adding acreage to the PUD, and the only way to do that is to amend the PUD and go through this whole process. So that's the biggest thing. The road north of Cruiser, which is, yes, an old sand pit. So we'll be rebuilding Cruiser, the length of Cruiser essentially from Meridiana Parkway all the way to the Briscoe Canal. There's a small piece, like a 100-foot piece, that we won't build from the canal to the end of Cruiser. And like Evan said, it's for engineering reasons. If there was ever a crossing, there'd need to be a bridge there. And so to build a road, knowing that if there was ever a crossing, we'd have to tear it up, doesn't make a lot of sense for the public. And it would end up being a dumping ground. So we will be rebuilding Cruiser and reconstructing the culvert crossing at the C12 ditch to a much higher standard, should allow for better access and flooding events or something like that for the residents on the south side. One thing I did want to kind of clarify is that we're not proposing lots that front on Masters for like traditional single family 60-foot lots. Basically, the idea is, and our current plan is to back lots to it and have a landscape buffer. So there's no driveways on Masters because it's a pretty long stretch. But the change here is that we're adding the ability, if the developer so chose to do, is to put acreage lots on Masters, and which would be served by well and septic. So it's more of a flexibility thing, less of a plan to do so thing. But I know that was a part of the original negotiations, was to make sure that that piece of land kind of complied with the residents on the south side of Masters. So just kind of clarify, or kind of completing that flexibility. The new public safety site at the new corner of Jordan and Clark. So one thing that Dan has suggested, the city manager has suggested here, is that we open up the flexibility for the city, because this site would, in the end of the day, get conveyed to the city of Manvel. And right now, our public safety site is just strictly restricted to public safety site. At his behest, we've also added public facility site. So it could be a police station, a fire station, any of those things. To my knowledge, I don't think any of that's planned for this area, but it could also be a potential water storage area, or some other thing that the city could use to their, it gives more flexibility to the city. So, and Dan can also talk about that, but I don't think there's any plans to do anything with that site in the near term. The thing that we so affectionately call the pork chop at Meridiana and Highway 6, that is a TxDOT design that we also don't like, and I've been trying to make go away for some time. So we've been working with TxDOT and are doing our best to get rid of it, but it was definitely not at our discretion. I think if there's any other. Oh yeah, and then adding the new land use, the garden home land use at Pursley, or excuse me, at Cruiser. So that would be right now just 30 acres of the overall development, which would be the new 50-foot wide lots with 6,300 square feet. So that would require extra depth, actually. So it's the same minimum lot size, minimum lot area that we currently have in Meridiana, just allowing for some smaller, 5-foot smaller lots than are currently allowed. And I could go on a lot. I've been working on these changes for 6 months, so I want to let you guys ask me any questions you have. Happy to answer any.
So earlier they had the image up there of what all this looks like, and I think that's where a lot of our questions came from, was just not really understanding map-wise where all this was. So like the garden homes were, and I'm going back and forth between what we have. Like the garden, it looks like it's just south of Highway 6, right?
Yes.
And there's that little section, and Cruiser Road doesn't really show up on my map. So it's like where Bissell, is it the north part? Like it's north of Bissell is where Cruiser Road is?
It's south of Bissell.
Okay.
Between Jordan and Meridiana Parkway, or Highway 6, basically. It's a small road that goes to the old sand pit area, and then
Right.
Roughly 20 lots.
But a
along
big
Cruiser.
chunk of that, so when you look at, it's that north part up there, right? Right, see, right there, right? So then
Yes.
the green part is going to be water, and then
Right.
the little beige part is going to be the garden homes. I think somebody was asking about that,
Correct.
about what part of that water was going to go away. So is that green part actually retention?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks
It'll
like
be
on
used for
mine.
our
Up there, it's
detention
confusing because you don't think
ponds.
green and think water.
Right.
But on that part up there,
Yeah.
where it's green in that section is actually going to, that's where the sand pit is currently, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be water on that green part, retention, and then the white part. Does that answer, whose question was that earlier? Yeah.
Right where you're pointing at, as they're going to be building their garden homes, if you look in between that and the other little line, that's Jordan.
Yes.
So if they're going to build up that side, you might as well add all of Jordan to Cursor as part of the pond.
So what is it, because there's been a lot of questions today about retention, people on Jordan
Yeah.
specifically. So talk to us a little about that, give them a little peace of mind.
Sure. So our goal, our engineering goal, is to have no adverse impact on adjacent property owners. And so when we build up our project, we build it up so our project doesn't, is not in the floodplain, because a lot of the site is currently in the floodplain. But we dig drainage ditches around the project so that any off-site flow that was flowing across our property still flows into those ditches and through our detention system, and ultimately through Chocolate Bayou, or the C12 ditch. So our goal is obviously never to flood adjacent neighbors, and we will do our best not to do that. And we've worked with the city. Everything that we do has to be permitted through the city and has to be approved by the city. So we can't go out there and dig any rogue detention ponds or development that would cause flooding problems. And it's certainly not our goal to do so. So at the end of the day, we're doing our best to be good neighbors and improve the community and not cause flooding problems. That's not good for the developer or us or Meridiana either. So.
And just a question on that topic real quick while we're there. I know one of the comments was that some of the drainage ditches that were put in place to catch that water that used to flow across that area seemed inadequate. How can we verify that it's up to what you designed? I know that's probably on us, but.
Well, and just to qualify, so it's not just the city that's reviewing these and approving these plans and inspecting, it's also the drainage district as well. So they have a vested interest because all of this is flowing into facilities that they maintain, quite frankly. So they're pretty stingy with what they allow to come into the bayou, and rightfully so. Like Brad said, most of this is in the floodplain already. So you have it's a double dip, if you will. You've got detention responsibilities and then also floodplain mitigation responsibilities. So that's quite candidly on the area that we're talking about. I still have to call you Mayor. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I know your first name, but I can't do it, Mayor Martin. But we used to call that the Haddock Pond, right? So when you go over the overpass right now and you look over to your right and you see the concrete weir that's still there, it's still going to hold water. So that's why they're only getting to use about a third of the overall property for residential stuff, because the rest just has to stay as detention. So anyway, just a peace of mind there that it's not just the city, it's also the drainage district as well. Gosh, on your BDD 5 stuff, do y'all have to go to Atlas 14 as well? Mm-hmm. So yeah, the new criteria that just came about when the new floodplain maps, they FEMA restudied everything after Harvey. So they were kind of like a lot of developments were in the process, and then all of a sudden, things got much more stringent after Harvey, as you can imagine.
This is in Drainage District 5, Dan.
I think all of Meridiana is in 5, correct?
And the area north of the Briscoe Canal is CNR3.
CNR3.
CNR3. Yep. So this new tract is in CNR3 Drainage District.
It's in 3s.
3 has a little bit, yes, ma'am. Most of Meridiana is in BDD 5, which is the one out of Iowa Colony. So while we have that map up right there, so a lot of discussion also was on the new bridge at Jordan and Clark. So they're reluctantly showing that on the map, they being Meridiana. They're not the one doing that bridge.
That's the GCW.
Well, so that's a TxDOT off-system bridge replacement, which has been a very successful program that the city has been doing for years. So TxDOT has nothing to do with that road, but they will periodically help smaller cities with bridge replacements. And so we've seen that for years. And they happen to want to do this one. And before they just replaced it like it was, I said, if it's not too much to ask, could we fix it while you're there instead of just putting it, that horrible S-curve and that one lane? Because why would you spend money to make it unsafe again? So what that's going to take is basically taking the S-curve out of it, and then it's going to smooth that curve out. Unfortunately, that takes away from, or unfortunately for them, it takes some property away from Meridiana, leaves about an acre and a half of they call it an orphan tract, so basically a triangle there. So since they can't really use it for anything, like Brad said, so that's going to be a public facility site. And the definition of that is the uses include but are not limited to governmental offices, which we're not going to put a government building there, libraries, parks, and major and minor utilities. So it could be a park. It could be, we haven't looked at that at all. It's just the moral to the story is it won't be that old horrible bridge. It'll be they're going to fix it the right way. So
Is that
anyway,
where that blue asterisk is up there?
it's blue or green, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
And we've had lots of conversations about that particular thing over.
Yes.
I mean, we've talked about that
one, there you go, yep.
area multiple times
Yep.
over the last few years.
Yep. And then what was the other big one? Oh, just to the east, there's a little bitty red corner right there. Did you say, Brad, that's potential commercial?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to the east of where I was just talking about the bridge, so right there.
Right
Yep.
there, okay.
Yeah.
Very small commercial
Yeah.
potential.
That little commercial space.
Yeah, so we'll have the major I guess we call it primary entry monument sign, and then in front of that would be, or behind that would be a potential commercial development.
And that,
anything that goes in there will have to do assume some sort of limited traffic impact analysis. So if it was required through that, then they would be required to do something. But at this point, we don't know what it is, and we don't know if it will actually end up being commercial, or if it.
The other one that
come
came
back
up
and
was
try and change it.
Meridiana Parkway. If you keep going north to Highway 6, the infamous pork chop that we talked about, that they don't want it there. The city doesn't want it there. TxDOT, I don't even think they want it there anymore. They realize it's a horrible design. So we've been told that, okay, the new building that's just got constructed, the tilt wall construction, there's another building, a sit-down restaurant that's going to go in right there on the corner. And while the door's open with TxDOT, what we've been told is they finally agreed to make it go away. So again, we'll believe it when we see it, but,
On the 20-year plan?
What's that?
It's on the 20-year plan?
Well, it's on this year plan. I mean, it needs to go away. It's just, it's absolutely not what any of us want.
Well, that's good news. So while we're in that corner, what other concerns do we have up there? It's along Jordan. Noise concerns, improvement of Jordan, maintenance of the right-of-way along Jordan. That's what I've got here from public comments.
Right. Right now, and until the new bridge goes in, we don't have any plan. The city doesn't have any plans to replace or repair Jordan just yet, because it's going to be a mess for a little bit. So once the bridge gets replaced, part of that project with TxDOT, the portion from the bridge to connect to Clark, that's part of their project, and then of course a new approach to Jordan. But then I know that there's going to be some portion from where the new bridge road stops and Meridiana Parkway. So then, yeah, we'll have to take care of that. The city will.
Okay.
So there will be plans to fix that section between Meridiana and that
Right.
bridge so
Yes,
that the
ma'am.
road isn't, because that was a lot of concerns.
It
That
is,
road's
yeah,
in
and
really bad shape
Valid concern. We just don't want to go fix it now because it's just going to get torn up again,
when
quite
they do the
frankly.
bridge.
Yes, ma'am.
And maybe just something to add to, I think that's kind of a theme through a lot of these things for traffic and traffic control and so forth, that, this is kind of a very high-level preliminary plan that, once things are actually proposed to go in certain places, then traffic studies will be done to determine how many cars are going to go through there and determine what kind of traffic control devices are needed and how many lanes and stuff like that,
Yes,
right?
sir. And like the intersection down to the south that one of the gentlemen brought up about Serenity, we're aware of that intersection as well. We've been studying it, trying to figure out the best way, because it doesn't quite have the warrants for a signal. And if we put another four-way stop, that's not necessarily, it doesn't always solve the problem. So their engineers are looking at that on the best way to solve that right now, because there have been accidents.
And that was Sora and Cumulus?
Right,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Excellent. Okay. What other questions do we think we've missed?
So Brad, as y'all, I know we give you a hard time all the time, and you're so patient with us. We don't make anything easy on you. I know nobody else out there knows that, but we push back on you guys a lot, but we appreciate you coming and talking to us a lot about this. But, so if there are a lot of concerns along that Meridiana Parkway as you're adding homes and stuff like that, like I know that y'all continually have to do traffic studies and things like that. So I think maybe just for peace of mind for the people here, sharing a little bit about, as that development goes and what y'all do in order to make sure that we are thinking about the safety of those people that go up and down that road all the time.
Thank you for the lead-in. That's a great topic. So one thing that right now happens a lot is there's a lot of high-speed traffic because there's not a lot of development in Manvel, in this part of Meridiana, between Highway 6 and Pursley, I guess. So as we develop, there's necessarily going to be more people driving out this road, and it's going to congest traffic and slow it down a little bit. It's congested in a good way, right? Like, you don't talk about congestion, but at this point, it's almost like a racetrack out there. So as we develop, it's going to slow down traffic. There will be more stop signs over time, potential signals. I know one thing, for example, is as we go through and we add entries along Meridiana Parkway or Cadence or any of these other collector roads, we'll be adding more left turn lanes potentially at these entries. Anything that is required to meet the code for safe egress and ingress into these sections, which would provide more, kind of safer areas for pedestrians to cross as well. So there'll be more sidewalk construction. There are pedestrian underpasses built, but not developed yet because there's not sidewalks out here necessarily in all of the Manvel portion of Meridiana. So over time, I would expect it to get better and safer. But as I've echoed a couple times, like we have to do everything to the code, and we fully intend to do that and meet code and exceed code where possible. So.
And I think with all the construction on 288, people have used that as a shortcut to go through. So I think as we see those overpasses on 288 get completed, I think that will help kind of divert some of that off. But I mean, I know when I have to go south on 288, I'm going to cut through on Meridiana Parkway because I don't want to get stuck forever on 288. And I think that that's part of that's recently in the last year or so caused a significant increase on that. And you're right, because there's not any development, there's no stop signs.
Right.
And so I think that we've seen an increase of that because of that, but that should decrease as 288 opens and as you have more development, more stop signs and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you noticed on Thursday and Friday, out of nowhere, the railroad decided to shut down the railroad at Masters, and they let us know that morning. So thankfully, we had Meridiana Parkway to go over. Otherwise, it was down to County Road 99 or, of course, Iowa Lane, and that one's kind of dangerous as well. So the one time the overpass was, I'm sure, even more used than normal.
Mm-hmm. It was very unexpected, but it's very nice. They did very nice work over the railroad tracks.
The last question I see here that I don't think we addressed was Pursley Road, and the way the right-of-way and the section entrances will just affect some of the neighbors there.
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I wrote that down and didn't say anything about it. I'm glad you mentioned it. So yeah, right now, half of the boulevard is constructed at Pursley, across from, I believe it's section 53 and 51. So yeah, at what point the other half of that right-of-way gets dedicated is fully under the control of the property owners there, because we don't have the power or desire to go and dedicate additional right-of-way from people's property that we don't own. So if that property ever gets sold to a developer, that's the point at which it would get dedicated and built, and the west half of the boulevard would be constructed. So unless the city has plans to, or the county has plans, I guess because that's a city limit line, if they have plans to go in there and build it for the public benefit, then I don't think it would be built or dedicated at any time in the near future. So,
and I think one of the more specific questions was, there were maybe further down on that road where there are going to be some section entrances.
There are currently already entries into those sections, and I think all of the esplanade openings along Pursley from Clark down to Meridiana Parkway have already been constructed. So I don't think there'll be any new esplanade openings there.
Okay. Okay. What other questions we have for Brad?
It was easy on you today, Brad.
I can sit down too if y'all want to discuss.
If there's nothing else from Brad, then I mean we can always call him back up here. We lock the door so he can't leave. So,
right.
What questions, discussion do y'all want?
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything we didn't address from comments?
I think maybe just there was a couple comments just about the roads further back, but that's more of a city question. I mean, I guess some people had some concerns about some of those roads a little bit further back being destroyed from all this traffic from construction. So maybe just talk a little bit about, what y'all are doing for those roads. I don't know exactly where the lady in the back where she lives, but she did express some concerns about some of the roads.
Did you write down which ones?
Sellers.
Yeah. Was that Pursley or
Pursley?
Where exactly do you live? The roads that you were concerned about? No. Yes. You were talking about the specific roads that you said were in bad condition. What area are you speaking about? I mean, there's maybe a lot, but.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got County Road 57, which is Clark. What is it? Grand Cedar Rapids or something like that. They've named it a different name, but for 30 years it's County Road 57 going into Jordan. those roads are all tore up. I mean, and those roads didn't used to have a lot of traffic, but now that Meridiana feeds into those roads, a lot of traffic is coming from Meridiana to those roads to avoid going down Meridiana Parkway. I myself almost got hit by a van who decides it doesn't want to stop there. There's a lot of vehicles that don't want to stop there, and they just fly out, and there's a winding curve right there that the road goes right into. So, yeah,
Okay.
tore up really bad.
Thank you. So I think we talked about Jordan already, right?
Yeah.
And then, so Clark, 57, pick a name for it. Is any plans for that?
It's the same thing, and for better or worse, that was something that they hard coded into their original OPUD that they don't have to. Me and Meridiana, they don't have to improve Clark or Masters, unfortunately. So
Yeah. Well, and I mean, so the city's going to have to address it at some point. Is the point then?
yes, sir.
Right. After,
Right.
So after the bridge and.
And then as you go further, I guess you could say it's southwest towards Iowa Colony. Once the intersection of Clark and Pursley actually happens, now you're actually in Iowa Colony. So then that's no longer in the city. And
right.
I've seen some plans for a roundabout there. I don't know if they're still planning on doing that. That's Iowa
Yeah.
Brad, have you seen those as well? Yeah. But anyway, that's Iowa Colony.
Okay. Okay.
There was
Yes, sir.
a comment about addressing some sound on Jordan Road.
Mm-hmm. That was regarding the public safety site. So again, I think the answer to that was it will be a piece of land for the foreseeable future. There's no plans for what to do with it at the moment. What other questions? We have anything? We ready for motions or? Okay, we'll take one more question, but I need you up here at the microphone, sir. If I could just get you to remind us of your name and address, please, sir.
Yep, Josh Bowman, 9135 Pilgrim Circle.
Thank you, sir.
So I just wanted to, regarding what Brad mentioned about the widening of Pursley at the back of my property. He said there's no plans for that, but if there would be plans, it would be Manvel's decision to make that wider. Since they're not planning to make it wider, can we get a wall built there? Because there's a lot of sound that comes from Pursley. Those cars go really fast down there. And everywhere else between Meridiana and the old subdivisions, they put like a nice brick wall between the two. But the last city manager said that there was no plans to put a wall there for us.
Dan, do you have any thoughts on the feasibility of that?
I'm not aware of any discussions on the noise or a wall. That doesn't mean it hasn't been discussed, but they weren't discussed with me.
Okay.
I mean, there's a noise study that they can do, Brad.
I think the main thing is it's future right away.
Right.
Eventually, any kind of barrier or wall would have to be torn down or removed whenever the other half of the right of way is. That's why there's not future roads.
And that's did we say that's the city limit there? So that's county.
Actually, that's Iowa Colony.
Iowa Colony
On the west side, yeah.
Okay.
At the corner of Pursley and Clark. That's what you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Pursley and
Yeah.
Clark.
Yeah, the west side of Pursley there is either Brazoria County or Iowa Colony.
It's like a little intersection of jurisdictions.
Yeah, it is. Half of my backyard is like Manvel line, and the rest is we're Sharon County, so.
So that's something if you wanted just to question further, he can contact somebody from the city and maybe get in touch with Meridiana to finalize them. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Motions from anyone
Mr.
up here?
Chair, if I could also,
Here?
that,
I'll
I'm
make a
sorry?
motion.
well, the agenda actually says possible action to approve the ordinance.
It says recommendation.
Yeah. Technically, it needs to be a recommendation.
Okay.
It still needs to go.
I
to
was
city
wondering
council.
about that.
Yes, sir.
And so a recommendation to city council to approve with, did we have conditions? It's been so long.
I know.
Lost track of time.
There's one recommendation to, any appeal of staff's interpretation goes to the zoning board of adjustment.
Okay. So you had a motion, was it with or without conditions?
With conditions.
Okay, and second?
I'll
That's
second.
Second. And all those in favor? And so that's 6-0, recommendation to city council to approve. Okay. The last ones here should be fun and easy. So consideration and possible action to direct staff to provide applicants written statements of the conditions for any conditional approvals, the reasons for disapprovals of plans or plats that were not approved per Texas Local Government Code 212.0091. If I can get a motion, please.
Motion to approve item D.
And second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Okay. And then, do we want to consider E, F, and G separately or together?
We don't have names on there, do we?
No.
We have to do them separately? Yeah, I think we should definitely. E.
I don't know if that's a vote of confidence or getting thrown under the bus.
I could make a motion to appoint Ryan as our Planning Zoning Development Commission Chair.
And I will second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 6-0.
None of us want that job.
Now the vice chair. Now who do I get to throw under the bus?
Kyle's not here.
Well, Kyle's not here. I move for Kyle to stay as vice chair.
Vice chair.
I second.
All those in favor? And
For missing Kyle.
yep, and there you go.
Missed the meeting.
6-0. And then finally, we need a secretary.
Currently the secretary.
Yeah.
Well, I
I'm fine
renominate her as secretary.
I didn't even miss the meeting.
All those in favor?
Sorry.
No, I'm
And-
kidding. I'm fine.
And in favor, okay, so 6-0. Motion carries. Is agenda item H applicable anymore? Or is our new bylaws in place or no, or?
Ryan's not here. I mean, that's what I mean, Kyle, sorry. Kyle's not here. Ryan is here.
Well, our bylaws changed the way that works now, so. Okay. Consideration and possible action to approve excused committee member absences. Motion for
Motion to
that?
approve H.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
And all those in favor? And motion passes 6-0. One final motion, if I may.
Can I make a motion to adjourn, please?
Absolutely.
Second.
Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously,
Always passes.
just like it always does.
In a hurry.